Hey, it's me, Nalthazar, and welcome to another Magic the Gathering Puzzle Quest video. In today's video, I'm going to be going over some big news that got leaked today, so let's get into it. The big news is with regards to what this little symbol right here means on the new Planeswalkers that are coming out in Forgotten Realms. All 6 of the new Planeswalkers have that little symbol on them just above max level. And so I posted in the forums a question to the dev team asking, what are they? And specifically for the Dungeon Master, how do you get the Dungeon Master's support? Now, on the thought of the Dungeon Master, I want to take a quick little side tour, as I've gotten messages from more than 10 people between Discord and YouTube about the Dungeon Master's point of origin. So, the Dungeon Master is actually a Planeswalker promo card. I discovered it right as I was posting the video. So that's where the art for this comes from. And then the art for that guy actually came from a cartoon from, I believe, the 1980s. And so you'll see that in this particular thread, this is Nathan telling me about it, and then Andrew mentions the 1980s cartoon. I've actually seen some screenshots of it since, and so the Dungeon Master was definitely not drawn by Octagon. However, they did adapt it for Puzzle Quest, and I think it's very cool how they adapted it. Now, back to the topic at hand, that little equal sign. Let's go ahead and read the support post together, because this is absolutely awesome. So, Octagon support says, hello. The icon just above the max level on the Planeswalkers is the evergreen symbol of a new mechanic introduced with Dungeons & Dragons Adventures in the Forgotten Realms. Planeswalkers now may have passive abilities besides their loyalty abilities. Let's pause for a second. Passive abilities. That means that when you select your Planeswalker, your Planeswalker will have some ability that will likely be a permanent support that is on the battlefield that is going to benefit you just for choosing that Planeswalker. Now, each new set and Planeswalker may have their passive icon and triggers differently set up. In the Forgotten Realms, or I should say Adventures in the Forgotten Realms, these abilities are called alignment, since they relate mostly to the color alignment of each Planeswalker. The Dungeons and support is a support created by Dungeon Master's alignment ability, so it may be passively created on the board while you're playing with Dungeon Master. These abilities have been introduced mainly as a way to make your monocolored Planeswalkers shine as much as the multicolored ones, aside from some exceptions like Dungeon Master. Since you have more card limitations to build their decks, they'll compensate this by rewarding you for playing aligned with their colors. We appreciate the interest. So this is absolutely massive, because one of the primary downsides to using a monocolored walker in Puzzle Quest is that you have a more limited card selection to build with. And so I know there are a lot of players who shy away from using monocolored walkers because you just can't put as many cards in your decks. Whereas someone like me who uses mostly monocolored walkers really likes this particular addition to the game. Now, this is something that I've been mentioning since War of the Spark. It's something I've been talking about a little bit, just that I thought it would be cool for the Planeswalkers to be able to have passive abilities. As we started to get Planeswalkers in Paper Magic that had passive abilities, I thought it would be cool for that to port over to Puzzle Quest 2, and so I love that we're seeing this here. I'm just imagining now some of the fan favorites, maybe Koth of the Hammer, having a passive thing that converts a gem to red every turn or two. Or Nissa Worldwaker creating one of her forest elementals every turn, right? Some kind of ridiculous nonsense like that. Jaya giving 2 or 3 mana to the first spell in your hand every turn. Whatever it is, but something that is thematic to the walker or the color. So this is really big news, really, really cool. Wanted to go ahead and share that. It doesn't specify if they're going to retroactively change any of the Planeswalkers, so just keep that in mind. It specifies each new set in Planeswalker may have their passive icon and triggers differently. So that implies that we won't necessarily see the beauty that is Koth and Nissa Worldwaker getting buffed even more than they already are. But nonetheless, it's cool to see it. The other really big takeaway is that this is something that they're primarily doing for monocolored Planeswalkers, so you should not expect to see this on most of the multicolored Planeswalkers that come out in Puzzle Quest. So I can't wait to see what the new alignment abilities are going to be for all 5 of the new walkers. Octagon, if you're watching this, if you want to go ahead and post in the forums what those alignment abilities will be, that would be super cool. I'm sure that I am not alone in really wanting to see what they are. That said, in the comment section, I'm curious just to see from you all what Planeswalker that currently exists in the game, Mono Planeswalker, would you like to see an alignment-esque ability on, and what do you think that alignment ability should be? Keep in mind, it's something that should be balanced. So, for example, having Obnixilis, for example, make it so that at the start of the game, every time you draw a card, your opponent loses 5 life, is probably not going to be balanced. Koth converting 2 gems to red probably wouldn't be balanced. Maybe a single gem would be okay. I don't know. It's just a passive ability. Nonetheless, I'd love to hear your all's take on this. I'd love to know if you're as excited about this as I am. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.